Today we're speaking to Daniel. He's a quantity surveyor and he looks after clients with high net worth status as they want to build or refurbish their home, looking after properties from anywhere between £1 and £137 million. He takes a fee to make sure those clients get the best possible service and save money. It's an interesting business. What he wants to do is get more clients, but he wants to get the right clients. How does he do that? Strap yourselves in. JP, welcome back to the Business Broadcast. Now, very exciting today. We're speaking to a quantity surveyor, but is not sure that he wants to be known as a quantity surveyor. Tell us about it.
Absolutely. So we are talking today to Daniel Armand. Don't worry, he's not nuts. And come on, I'm getting it in early doors. And he runs a company called the Country House Surveying Company. It's only just landed for you, hasn't it? You liked it, didn't you? Yeah. He's been trading 3 to 4 years, estimated monthly revenue about 20,000 quid, full-time team members. He has got 4 of them. Biggest challenge, organically building upon the organic relationships that I have formed with referrals over the last 24 months. I've picked up the phone and knocked on the doors for 2 years. I'm beginning to see the fruit of this. For example, the residential architects of the world are my biggest supporter. How do I remain at the forefront of their mind? Challenge number 2.
I think I just spoke to him while you went for a little wee before we came on there. I think it's because this could just give people context of what he does. He is a quantity surveyor. So he would, but also like a project director.
Project manager, right.
For people that are building big properties. So they're building them from scratch, anywhere from £1 million, and his top one was 137 million quid. And the sweet spot is around £3 to £4 million. His clients are people that are time poor but wealthy, that usually work in London and probably have got a country estate somewhere in the country. Why do they use him? They pay him 3 to 6% of the build cost for him just to manage it. Yeah. Once it's all done, here's the keys.
Perfect.
So he liaises with the architect, the builders, the planning authority to bring it all together.
The person who wants to build it comes with the idea, they put all the team together, and then he's dealing with project managers, contractors, subbies, and all that kind of stuff.
You've got it,
hands-free, big fancy gas.
If you're time poor but got lots of money.
A bit of you then.
I think, I hate building things. I prefer just to find a nice house and go, should we move in there?
Should we have that one?
I do build lots of things, as you know, for all my businesses, but
I hate doing it.
It's just, I was speaking to, I think I said this on the podcast before, we looked at a big pile of bricks that me and Nats loved that was up with Strutton Parker, which is, one of the more premium national agents, up there looking after big piles of bricks within this category. And I remember speaking to one of the agents and she showed me around. She went, well, they bought this property for 3.2 million. They spent £1.5 million on it and they're selling it for 3.7. So, quickly do the maths, we all expect property prices to go up, but at this level,
it doesn't, does it?
If you're putting in a 300 grand kitchen, which some of those places do, you're putting a £500,000 orangery on the back.
Yeah,
that level, it might not put on an extra £500,000 onto property.
No, but in those instances, most people are buying that as a legacy home for their family, so they're not buying it to recoup money.
I think I'd like to ask Daniel that as well, but I think when you buy, the bigger things you buy, in many ways, not always, but in many ways, and I think this relates to businesses as well, I think you get more value for money.
Okay.
Like if you buy 10 one-bedroom flats, via, I don't know, a 10-bedroom house, I think the 10-bedroom house, well, that actually depends where it is, doesn't it? What I'm trying to, we're thinking about commercial property, you rent out a 15,000 square foot building, you might pay £6, £7, £8 per square foot.
Yeah.
A 1,500,000 square foot building, the rent per square foot will be much higher.
Yeah.
Maybe 10, 11, 12 pound per square foot. And that does seem to...
Scales of economy, isn't it?
Yeah.
That we talk about in different sectors as well.
I love how I think you're the only person that's reversed those words. Everyone else I know says economies of scale. You just went scales of economy.
Really? I thought that was the thing. Scales of economy.
I think it's economies of scale. Get us in the comments. is it economies of scale or
Scales of economy.
Like,
It's another
only
new
ever
feature.
heard James Purser.
I'm a bit backwards. My wife often tells me that. Right, so that's his biggest challenge is becoming at the forefront of people's minds. Challenge number 2, I've worked on and in the business for the last 24 months. My next challenge is the process of removing myself from the coal face, handing to the team and continuing to develop more working relationships with the supporters. So he's in the stage of getting off of working on it and working in it instead. Working in it and working on it instead. Third biggest challenge, raising the bar when it comes to marketing. The bar is so low and I want to sex up the marketing of a very traditional professional service. But he hasn't even got a website, has he? He's got a landing page. So there's work to be done there. Where do you want to be in 1 year's time? I want to develop a solid infrastructure, a well-oiled machine that allows me to continue to generate work, relationships and service them. I have a team of 3, very new to me, but all very good stock, who are, as of January 2025, about to do the work that I have generated. What would the business, strap yourselves in, this is a long one, guys. What would the business look like when it's finished? He said, I'm looking as far as 5 years. At this present stage, finish looks like this: working with top tier profitable architects and clients who have solid infrastructure to cope with works. Having continued organic reach to my supporters, architects, and allow the current team to work remotely, supporting their own family commitments. I have a team of 4 and at present want this to remain plus or minus an assistant each. At present, I have turned over 200k each year for 2 years, have secured 1 million quid's worth of turnover for year 3, and have some of the best-in-class architects beginning to introduce me to their clients. We can generate between 500k and $1 million to each year.
That's turnover.
Put between 500k and $1 million turnover each year, but to the right kind. Do you make the profit that you want to make? And if so, what is it? And he said, turnover to date has been based on myself and an assistant of 200 grand. I know a mate of mine who was in this space, and he was, as a profitable job goes, these are great profitable jobs. Like he project managed one thing. I was earning 350 grand a year.
I can't wait to tell him what I would do to sort this out.
Then we asked him, how do you spend your time day to day, wearing all the hats for the first 24 months, got over the fear of employing, and now have people to facilitate the work that I've obtained. So there we go.
Well, there we go. But I think
there is
a knock on the door.
Oh my God, I've got the wrong jingles up. Sorry, I got the wrong. I'm so
but there is
a knock on the door.
Interesting quote of fact. Interesting quote of fact.
Interesting quote of fact.
It's time for the interesting quote of fact of the week.
What have you got for us today, Jimbo Sinclair?
I've got 3 or 4 quotes.
Oh my good God!
Around marketing.
I think
some things that I want to say. Don't say we have a 99% success rate. Always, especially now, leverage social proof instead. Get testimonials from others. Give people a reason to act now on your call to actions. And remember, this people buy outcomes, not products. Really, really important. They buy the transformation. People connect with emotions and not products, which is a big thing that Nike do. You know, if you look at their ads, it's not
they're not advertising the thing, are they?
No.
Yeah, very true.
And then this one as well, which is I absolutely love. Perfection is the enemy of progress.
This is very true. I have got a much more substandard quote than that, but I think it's really telling. I read this in a book and I had to read it. I was like, what is this actually saying? It said, you are always responsible, i.e. you are able to respond. And I was like, that's actually really good, isn't it? It doesn't matter what the situation, because you can't control the situation necessarily. You can't control the outcome, but you control your response to it. Yeah. You are always responsible, i.e. able to respond. Response able.
Yeah.
Works better in written format. Maybe Stevie can, or you Chuds, you could put like response able with a hyphen on the screen. Poof, so it like lands.
Yeah, there we go.
In a big way. There you go. That's the weakest ever interesting fact or quote of the week.
Interesting quote.
But it is what it is.
What, from you or from me?
Definitely from me.
Oh,
you were average. I was poor.
Fine. Yeah, I think that was one of your weaker ones, and I thought I did a good job.
Did you? You've really taken offence to that. Anyway, we haven't got time for this.
One in every 5 episodes, you do come up with a really load of tosh.
1 in 5?
Maybe 1 in 3. 1 in 1. Hey gang, we're going back to the pod in just a moment, but I wanted to tell you about Entrepreneurs University. This is a platform that I've created for entrepreneurs and business owners that are serious about growth. There's 100 video lessons from me on everything in business, raising finance, buying companies, property investment, and everything in between. Attached to each video is a downloadable PDF that goes into more detail about what we've learned in the video. It goes one step further than that because I've also put stuff that you won't get anywhere else onto Entrepreneurs University. The lessons go into way more detail, but not just that. You're going to get my business plans, my spreadsheets, and all the files that I use to drive the KPIs in my business. Just think about how powerful that could be for your business. And here's the good news. You can try Entrepreneurs University for free. 14-day free trial. After that, it will cost you just $49.99 a month. That's less than a pair of Nikes to grow the profitability in your business. There's a link in the video description, and I cannot wait to see you in Entrepreneurs University.
Right, should we get Daniel on the podcast?
Let's get him on.
Because you've got some great ideas. Daniel, hello, welcome to the show.
JB, hello, thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure, my friend. So obviously we've talked a little bit about the business based on the challenges and stuff that you've submitted, but tell us in your own words, give us the origin story of Country House Surveying.
Yeah, so origin story. So I've learnt my craft through various forms, worked as an employee for someone for a good stint, getting on 10 years, learned from the best, saw an opportunity during COVID, saw a change in clients and change in their values. And a few other life-changing events beyond that happened. And I thought, let's take the plunge and give it a go. And that's where it was born.
Can you just, I know I briefly think I put it well, but is there anything you need to add on what you actually do to the bit that I said? Because I think that's interesting for listeners.
Yeah, so what I do, so I advise private clients through building processes. We offer two professional services, project management and quantity surveying, but effectively the sum of both parts, we provide services that ensure clients aren't overpaying for works, clients are getting what they pay for, and we manage and reduce the risk, the nasty things that come with building as best we can.
Can you I think it would be good for listeners as well. I think people know what a quantity surveyor is, but don't necessarily, or heard of what a quantity surveyor, but don't necessarily know what they do.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So a quantity surveyor, we're build cost accountants, if you will. So we can look at things and very quickly determine what things cost. But I think the opportunity for me, which is why I moved in COVID time, was that, and you touched upon it with your Strutt and Parker comment earlier, that the skill set can be applied in different ways, if you will, to different different situations. Mm. So what I'm finding at the moment, we're brought in quite early on, clients that are looking at new acquisitions. We can answer a lot of their questions, before they've even considered placing an offer, for example.
Mm. And most of these are people refurbishing a building or starting completely from scratch?
Both, to be honest. Refurbishment, extension, and new build. Fine. The principles are all the same.
Yeah.
So how would a client who's, before they even put an offer in, how would they even know that they need someone like you? Would it be the estate agent that would suggest that they need a bit of support with this, or how does that happen?
That's a good question. So traditionally the referrals come from the architect, or at least they have done. The issue with that is, by the time you're brought in, a lot of planning's been obtained, say, and a lot of decisions have already been made. But there's a new shift towards agents who manage the buyers in the house sale, and so there's a new wave of consultants who understand and recognise the benefit of services that we offer, and make the referral to their client or buyer before the client has actually made an offer on their next property.
Almost like an American realtor kind of.
You got it, exactly
rather.
that.
Okay,
yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, they're out searching for property and it might be off market as well.
You got it, and effectively, the private client is looking to, just like any M&A acquisition, they're looking to structure a team around them to, if you will, to protect them on their behalf. And that's exactly what the professional team does around a client through a building process.
Okie dokie. So that makes a bit more sense now.
So the crux of the problem, though, is it not enough customers? Is that the issue, Daniel?
The crux, it's not that as such. The crux of it, are attracting the right people that truly value what we do. For example, let's say there are two QSs, two quantity surveyors. What one looks at the world, and I'm sure you can relate to this, James, but one looks at the world through the lens of cost only, whereas the other one looks through the world through the lens of cost, time, quality, relationships, risk, everything that goes with spending 10 million quid, for example.
Well, I think there's a couple of things that I would do if this was mine. Number one, I would be doing Google pay-per-click, because if your average order value is tens of thousands of pounds, you would be able to probably put £2,000 a month into Google Ads and have really tight keyword stuff. And you probably need to get some help on that, but that will give you leads, because I think people that would need a quantity surveyor for multi-million-pound house building will be going on Google and looking for people. Then they're going to land on your website, which needs to have pictures and information to allow people to research you. And then on top of that, if this was my business, I would be making content of build that's been done before, showing the beginning, the middle, and the end process with approval from some of your clients. But that I would say to them, look, we will document the journey as a video for you to keep as a keepsake, because people like that. And then you can charge that, but say, look, we'll discount it, and I need to have that I can show clients in my portfolio going forward. I think that sort of stuff. I mean, what Grand Designs, I mean, that guy, I'm saying if you made that stuff on YouTube, and very wealthy people consume YouTube stuff, and that will then feed into your website through Google. You can then put that on LinkedIn, and then people will see the sort of stuff that you do, and you present it. Just make Grand Designs.
To be honest, that was one of the first things I looked to do. The only issue I've got with that, and it's not every project, but most of them are governed by non-disclosure agreements.
Well, but not everyone.
Not everyone.
Otherwise, Grand Designs would never get made.
Agreed.
But even if
most of mine are, that's the only thing.
Well, yeah, but find out if you just ask. I mean,
find a way around. Yeah. Okay.
Not everyone does want their house on, but a lot of people do, because Grand Designs finds 25 people a year that, or even more than that. And even so, you say that you make the video documentary, and you don't put it on the internet, but you can have it as a video that you can show people when they're making decisions, so they can see other people when it's private.
Yeah.
But content marketing for this, if you can build a YouTube audience around this space, I mean, it would be, and what would be great for you as well is the peers within your sector will recommend you. That's the most powerful thing about it.
That's what's happening at the moment. One idea I've got, because the peers in the market are advocates of what we do.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think, and I've got the Nike analogy in my mind, where they don't sell or promote the trainer, they promote the athlete.
Yeah.
I've got an opportunity here of promoting, the Rolls-Royce athletes of my market.
Yeah.
At the same time. So rather than, you tell me your thoughts on it, rather than just, saying, look how good I am, I've got the opportunity of saying, look how good all these other people are at the same time.
When you do it, I don't think you talk about all those people. You just say the beginning, the middle, and the end, the story of the build, not the people. I just think it needs to be 2, 3, 4 minute videos. Don't talk about the challenges, just a beautiful, you're like an estate agent that sells a property, and you show this is the ground, this is so it's a story of a piece of art coming together, which really works on social. So that you don't need all the people in it, and you just show it in the best light. It's a great thing to leave your clients, because they will always love that, even if it's private. But what that means is, other architects and other quantity surveyors will see that. And if they're thinking about, a quantity surveyor, if you want to employ people, it'd be a great recruitment tool for you. Now, all of this stuff takes 5 years to build up and get real good traction. And I think evidence of that on the content that I make, but it will give you the gold service customers. You might get 1 million views on a video but the 1, 2, 3 most important people will watch it, and then they will come to you predetermined to buy from you because they've seen all the other stuff that you've done. But that's long-term stuff. The short-term stuff is doing Google ads. I really, when you've got an average customer value of tens of thousands of pounds, if I'm sure you would pay someone a £500 referral if they gave you a £200,000 job.
Absolutely. Do you think those Google ads? I mean, I'm new to Google ads. I understand the principle behind it. Is that to target, architects that would produce leads or referrals, or is that to target the client directly?
So the client directly, I think, that they would go in. I want to build a £3 million house from scratch. Where do I go? And you can, have all that come up. And also if there was content that you can go on and be interviewed, even if no one's listening, it's going to make you good at sharpening your pitch.
Yes. Yeah.
And when I started out, entertaining or making content, I would go to the opening of an envelope, and that all of that was practice that got me to be able to do it, en masse, on demand, whenever asked.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's interesting. And in terms of content, I guess the thing that's held me back producing that at the moment is not fear of being in front of the camera, but just more. I've never had the message totally clear in my mind. What's your thoughts on that?
I would find people that are doing it very well on on YouTube and watch their stuff and take inspiration of it. But I hear your voice. I mean, you have a Strutton Parker Savills voice, which is perfect for what you need on this. You obviously, they've been brought up well, if you like. It'd be much better than me doing it. Jimbo from Essex.
It's £4 million gaff here. Today we're going to stick a right lovely roof on it.
So and you present it. Today we're in the Cotswolds and we've taken over this piece of land, and what we're going to do is X, Y, Z.
Does he have to whisper like a creepy phone call?
You tell the story and the journey. Pay attention. We're trying to help someone here, Mr. Burt. And refurbishment. What you're so lucky with property and building things, it naturally builds a story from beginning, middle, and end.
There literally is that, isn't there?
Yeah, it's sort of naturally scripted for you. So it might take you a year to make a video because you're building it up, and you got to do it well. And you probably need to get someone to help you do it.
Looks like as well in your space, whilst you might not be able to go out and find stuff that easy that you could shoot, there's lots of magazines, online platforms that would cover this kind of stuff.
I mean, of articles, writing articles, newsletters.
Yeah.
Mate, listen, newsletters are one of the biggest missed opportunities. I do one every Monday. I don't know if you get that, but I try and write that article as a relationship builder. It's very rarely does it sell anything. And you can just, like a journalist, write pieces about, beautiful properties that are being built, the biggest challenges that, doing this stuff. And then you turn that into a blog 6 months after you've done the newsletter, which will drive loads of SEO to your website. That when you're starting to do those Google ads, and I shouldn't say this because Google say they don't, but when you spend on Google ads, weirdly, websites start getting listed naturally. And anyone that. I mean, yes, you're getting more traffic. So, but blogs and newsletters, you can find an hour every week. I do, and I release it every Monday morning. I think it's powerful. You're doing it as well, aren't you now?
Yeah. Not for the business, but and just writing makes you a better thinker. I know you said this before, 100%. I think one of the things that's become quite obvious from this conversation, though, Daniel, is that in this sort of space, at the demographic that you're going after, your marketing has got to be absolutely bang on, like really, really good.
It does. I mean, to be honest, I've where my clients hang out is always a tricky one, which is why I've gone for the people that make the referrals. What I see a lot in our industry is you know, if Mr. Architect says this is the direction to go in, the client buys it, if you will.
Yeah, that's professional services, but that's in, you know, if my bank says use this accountant, I'm
You're going
seriously
to use the accountant.
I'm seriously going to listen.
Yeah.
But also, when people are making big decisions like this, they like to research. Don't matter if they've got £10 or £10 billion.
We do more research based on this.
And you
they?
go on your. So if I wanted to use you, I'd go, right, I'm going to spend a couple of hours going through his website, reading stuff, watching some videos about him. And if that stuff isn't there, you know, I might choose the person that does have that stuff.
I agree. So in terms of on-point marketing, have you got any, you know, in terms of...
And can I just say, also, that's what most people do. That's the lower hanging fruit. Most people don't do the build, the referrals, get in with architects, and that's the good old-fashioned network marketing that I massively believe in, and which is my first go-to. It sounds like you've got that one boxed off and you're doing quite a good job. You know, I land on your website. I love the branding, love the color, love the logo, in fact. You know, but then there's, I can't find anything else about you.
What's your thoughts in terms of keeping a low profile online and pushing how exclusive the service is? Because what I've seen in the last couple of years is that it doesn't take very much to spread our services very thinly.
But you just want more leads.
Whilst I don't want to sort of get too big, I almost want to make a point of that.
Yeah, but come on, you have all the leads coming in, you know, and then just choose your favourites. If you've got 100 leads coming in a day and you only want to choose 10 a month,
fair point.
Yeah, that's great. You know, last time I checked, that's the Rolex business model. People walk into the shop every single day. Can I buy one? No. You can go on our 2-year waiting list.
I think as well, you need to. So a pal of mine, a very good mate of mine, used to run an agency called Madigan Brown. They're a big sort of central London, exactly the same. He's a quantity surveyor, a guy called Paul. And he went on to, he did like one sort of big flagship project. I think he did 100 million quid build in Hampstead Heath, I think it was. And then off the back of that, that's where so many more of the leads came from thereafter, because he had a very, the website was beautifully polished. He had, you know, like sort of coffee table books. Instead of brochures, he had coffee table books. When he would go and pitch a client, he used to send them an iPad. And the whole concept of the build, it was quite far down the line. I wasn't doing that for every cold lead, don't get me wrong. But he used to have a bespoke briefcase created with that housed the iPad. And within the concept, so for example, back in those times, there was a lot of Russian money and a lot of Middle Eastern money. And he would find out, for example, what was the client's favourite colours. He'd speak to their staff. He would find out about what fragrances do they wear. So the box would go scented with their favourite like oud. With the lining of this in its bespoke briefcase. But he would win millions and millions and millions of pounds worth of work. He scaled that to like 26 million quid in 3 or 4 years. From doing those kind of tactics, you've just got to go so, I think with your marketing, it's not about mass market. It's just got to look so high end, so polished. And like Jimbo says, I just don't think you guys could afford.
You need 10 really good videos of beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
Even if it's not your work and someone else's work you admire, but you're the presenter, that can be really powerful. And then people that work for Stratton Parker and Savills will see it and they'll go, there's a client that's thinking about moving and wants to build a house. And then you're known, and then, people at Coutts and Handelsbanken will see it and they'll recommend it. And
that coffee table book, that beginning, middle, and end, you could turn that into the narrative. You could, as well as presenting those videos, you could turn that into like the story that's told in this coffee table book of going through the process of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's a very visual industry, and the coffee table book is rife in what we do, but it only tends to be pushed by the, if you will, the designers of the game. So yeah, I agree. Everything you've said there are things that, dare say, have been on the list, but I've just put it to one side for a minute until I've got it clear in my mind.
See, the thing is, can I just say that if you was doing Google ads, you're going to land on that website, there's no content, you could probably lose out a lot. You need Google ads really works when there's, when
context,
that's it. Yeah. It's like people that are doing e-commerce. If there's only one photo and it's dodgy, like they're wasting their money on Google ads, there needs to be 10 10 photos, testimonials, easy to buy, all of that stuff.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, that's just a landing page. There is something behind the scenes that's being worked on as we speak. But
Yeah.
I'll be interested to hear your views. I've seen some of your previous podcasts, and you drag up certain websites where there are, call to actions everywhere across
Well,
that
I don't think
page.
you do need to do that.
That was a question, yeah.
No,
Do you know what? Why is that?
Because you only need 20 clients a year to have the most amazing life, don't you?
Yeah, agreed.
If you're a dog food website, it's different. It's very different.
The only call to action on a website like yours is get in contact for us to help you support, bring your dream to life, that kind of thing. You don't need lots of like clickbaity stuff.
Okay, for
like
this, that, and the other.
Yeah. What I would do, sorry, go on, you go first.
No, just if you're doing the sort of revenue that you are with the size of team that you got, I think that you need a good marketeer who sits in-house and helps you with the brand story, the narrative, and pulls all of this together for you.
And quite a lot of PR as well, but used on the back of your stuff that you're doing. But I was thinking, this is mine, I'd probably want to try and just write articles and send it into the Telegraph Home, the Times Home. The Financial Times has a home section at the weekends, and you write articles about the space, and if you do that regularly, people go, oh, you was in the Financial Times, or you was in the Telegraph. And that is not as difficult as you might think to do.
No, well, I'll be honest, I've got someone on tap that is doing that sort of thing as we speak. So you think that's the way to go for this sort of business, do you?
Well, I have to say, I mean, the Daily Telegraph wrote a big double-page thing about me, about my business estimates, and I had a lot of people reach out. It really surprised me, and we use that and send that on to give as a credibility piece for us now, because I think when a really nationally recognised brand like that talks about you, that's powerful.
I agree.
I think LinkedIn articles as well for the fact that you're getting a lot of stuff. So I'd be talking about like the trends that are working really well and do it as very well written. But again, it's got to be well written and well designed articles that are going to actually give value. What it can't be is some chat GPT nonsense of like, here's the
showing your expertise.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, I find, there's a lot of attention on LinkedIn. Equally, there's a lot of noise on there at the same time.
Yeah.
And where I've held off is largely down to, obviously I've got to participate within that, but try and position yourself so you're not in amongst that noise and you're on top of it.
You've got to be in it to win it, and that's the thing. You're sort of talking about a lot of stuff you coulda, woulda, shoulda done in marketing. At the moment, you've got a landing page like it needs more. But again, you're right at the beginning of a very exciting journey. You've got an amazing reputation already because you're only landing
and a great
those
voice.
sorts of and it works really well. But again, I think you need a really good marketer who can go, right, let's carve the narrative of this, because you are in a tricky space. Because again, my pal who had the big architects firm, he had the same challenge initially, is that he couldn't, when he'd done the 100 million quid house, it was the first place in the UK that had this like specialized Italian car lift thing that could bring out your one of 10 supercars onto your driveway in 90 seconds. It was like this innovation, but they couldn't talk about it. But then all of a sudden Channel 4 wanted to record a TV show, and then the homeowner was like, yeah, that's cool. And they did a pilot show off the back of it, and there's a series of newspaper articles about this house. So you've got to, but again, he had an in-house great marketer who was making all that stuff happen.
Yeah, no, I can see the need for that. Absolutely.
And also, if you get on a Telegraph article or Times article, find out it links back to your website, like for SEO purposes, having a news outlet talk about you is a very good thing. With a good, strong link, it's really good for SEO.
Okay. Any thoughts or a steer in the right direction when it comes to message? I fell into the trap of I've had videographers follow me around and that sort of stuff when I first started. But I must admit, I came away from it at the end thinking, but I can't really see what the point is. I can't see what I'm actively saying.
Because, well, there's different types of videos, but an explainer video of what you do, showing the beginning, middle and end, and it might take 6, 9, 12 months of you building a project. That is very powerful, and they do work. If it was me, it would be like Grand Designs, and you would be the presenter, and it would be made for a YouTube audience. If you did that consistently, I mean, I pretty much would put money on it that you would have so many leads, you wouldn't know what to do with them.
Yeah, fine. I agree with that. I agree, and well, dare say I've probably held back from it because I know that's the case. As crazy as that sounds, I know that's going to happen. So,
if you're not comfortable with it, I still don't forget the written word, the articles, the news. Like you could start
in
your
this
weekly
space. That would work so well.
You could do a weekly newsletter, you know, starting Monday this week. And I think if you did it over a year consistently, things would start happening. No one's going to read it at first, but then you put it on Medium, you repurpose it on, what's the other? There's Medium and there's another one, isn't there? Substack and
Substack.
all of those.
Yeah,
because people that are going to spend millions of pounds, especially on a self-build project, whether they're building it themselves or using professional advisors, they are going to spend hours on research. They just are. I would, and I think they will. And again, architects will see those articles, Savills, Stratton Parker, private banks will see that stuff. I would go to another big referral thing as well, self-build mortgages for these high net worth individuals. No matter how much money people have got, they're not using their own money. They may say they are, but they might be fronting it at first, but they'll look to remortgage it. And, you want to speak to finance brokers that specialize in that sort of thing so that they can recommend you and get to know your stuff. But you are good at that stuff. I think you're not doing the low hanging fruits of being visible online.
Yeah, I agree. My low hanging fruit from the outset has been, direct access to the top tier architects who are for me, they were the low hanging fruit.
But you've got that now, haven't you?
I've got that now, correct. I think the next thing which I'm going to do off the back of that, I appreciate this marketing thing is a big thing, but I've wanted to develop kind of offline relationships with those architects, and I'm providing lunch and learn CPDs to their team, that sort of stuff, just to get exposure twice a year to the entire team, for example.
That's great.
In an effort to kind of give back, if you will.
I wish more people did stuff like that, and we spend lots of time on the podcast talking about it. I mean, the great news for you is you haven't tried Google Ads, and I think if the website was good. And that's why I don't do any of it until the website
that's good. Ready. Yeah.
Because you just be, pissing money up the wall, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Well, good. Thank you for being on. You sound amazing, and I definitely use that nice voice.
I'll bear that in mind.
Do you know what? It's really important in your space, though. It's a bit like
100%.
The airline pilot. Hello, mate. We're off to New York this afternoon. You want him to sound educated, which you do. Tonality is a big part of decision making.
You talk about something very often, Jimbo. Message market media.
Market message media.
Market message
Who's your
media.
Market? What's your message to them? And then what's the media you're going to use?
Yeah, you've got. I think before you do any form of marketing, even with the website, go back to it. Like, what is the message that you're trying to portray to that marketplace? That's so important. And there'll be brand consultants and stuff that can help you weave that narrative. Because what you've got at the moment is a bunch of experience, but you don't know how to articulate it in the right way. It's the storytelling of you that's going to build this brand and this business. But again, go on, have a look at some of the top architects. I see a member of RICS, which obviously you have to be, but if go on to some of the top 10, architects practices, that look how they tell stories. Yeah. And do it the same way in your variant of it, would be my advice.
Good. Well,
good. Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Right, if someone has got 5 million quid lying about, but they don't want to be bothered, I'm talking about James Sinclair here. Like, where should he go to find out more information about you, Daniel, and your wonderful voice?
I am countryhousesurveying.co.uk.
Does anybody, when you meet them for the first time, sing Country House by Blur to you?
Not, they haven't yet. As always first.
No, I think they're his clients.
No, but one day I will be, won't I? And then I'm going to do it. But there you go. Thank you very much, Daniel, for being on the podcast. We wish you well with all your entrepreneurial ventures. Make sure you keep in touch and let us know which route to market you go down. We will be watching on with much interest. Thanks for being on today, mate.
Thanks for having me, mate. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Daniel. Take care. Bye now.
Take care. Cheers. Bye.
Well, there you go. Daniel, all the way from sunny Salisbury.
Let's do the rating.
Let's do the 8 traits of the great, shall we? Let's do it indeed. There we go. Right. Here's the jingle. It's all uploaded. It's not all uploading right now. I'm just waiting for this to upload. It's all uploaded. Fantastic. Brilliant. Right. Great stuff. Come on in, Jimbo Sinclair. Sorry, I'm doing live production of
That's right.
what was going on.
Starting with the end in mind. Oh, I'm not sure.
No, I'm not sure on that one.
Passionate about his cause.
Oh, yeah. He loves a bit of housing.
Yeah, so we got 1. Untold amounts of resilience.
We don't really know.
No.
You think posh people haven't had it hard as well, don't you? When you hear, but maybe he has.
Yeah.
He might have been. You know,
Innovate or evaporate? We don't know, do we?
we don't know that. We've done
Commercial awareness, hopefully, if he's a quantity surveyor.
He knows. He knows he's got to know his numbers, hasn't he?
I don't think we should do this because I don't think we know enough.
I don't think we know enough.
We didn't. Yeah,
We've done a
people,
bad
aren't we?
job. We've done a bad job there.
But I think he's a bit too early on. Usually we have people that are a bit further in, aren't they?
A profitable job space, though, doing 200-300 grand with
Yeah.
one assistant.
Yeah.
That's a nice little profit. The challenge with
Well,
a
I think
business
he's
like
better
that,
than he actually. We might.
he's
be led to believe.
he's confused with the marketing bit.
Yeah.
If he gets the marketing bit right, because he actually doesn't. He doesn't.
He's
he
doing
needs,
the good old fashioned network
yeah.
stuff, isn't he? Which
If he's
I
doing
wish more
3
people
to
would do.
6% of development value, and he's doing 10 million quid gaffs,
Yeah.
he needs like 2 clients, doesn't he? And that's the sort of space that you're in that kind of level. If you don't want to go big, and I think there's a risk with taking on more staff just for the sake of it in that space, where actually
Absolutely,
you don't need to. As I mentioned, my power, he had a big architect's practice. He's like, I don't want to do this anymore. He had 125 staff. He was Barclays' fastest growing business, 3 years on the bounce or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I'm just going to sack it all off. Had a terrible time with his family situation. He's like, I don't want to do it anymore. Took on one project that was still halfway through completion, which was like a 20 million quid gaff down that neck of the woods, actually. And the guy was like, please, can you complete this for me? I will pay you 350 grand a year to just work for me. And he had one assistant.
Oh,
He had to go
wow,
do
there you
one
go.
site visit a week. No, it's not a bad way to make a living if you want to go down a profitable job route, but obviously that's not the case with everyone. Right, it's time for the Bit It Isness quiz. Cheers, Chuds.
It's Jim versus JB on the quiz.
It's your turn to read.
It is. I'm going to read it very soon.
Which one's clever and which one's dumb?
Izzy Wizzy. Let's get quizzy.
quizzy.
Within this quizzical folder, I want to do it in Daniel's voice. Within this quizzical folder today on the
Love you,
podcast.
wooden spoon.
Thank you for my spoon, Michael Chudley. I appreciate it massively. In here, there is a quizzical question related to the segment or the business sector on which we have been conversing today. Myself and my esteemed colleague, James Jimbo Sinclair, will be...
Do you have a middle name?
I've got 2.
What are they?
Michael Kenneth.
James Michael Kenneth Burt.
But, yep, now I'm fully fraudable there now. Fantastic. And before everyone was like, Kenneth, I'm like, yeah, it's my dead granddad. Say something now. Still funny though, isn't it? It's a weird name. Do you not think?
Yeah.
Ken. There's not enough Kens around these days, is there?
Mm.
I don't know a Ken beneath the age of 50, I don't think.
Mm.
Anyway, in this envelope, I can't do the posh thing. In this envelope, have you got a middle name?
I thought, and
Nicholas.
what would you like to ask me?
It's on your number plate, isn't it?
It's Nicholas, yeah. Well, I'm actually, my James Nicholas, Mario Mary, Mother of God Sinclair in Latin, which my very Catholic grandma had me christened as part of the conditions for my dad to look after me.
Pardon me,
her to look
what?
after me. It's in Latin.
Run me through that again.
James Nicholas Mario Mary Mother of God Sinclair. It's quite common in Latin. It's just
That's your
true.
full name? Like by
Yeah,
default?
I've changed it to James Nicholas Sinclair. But on my, in Latin.
And your mum and your nan did what? She made your...
Well, my mum had MS.
Yeah.
And so she was very ill. And my dad, so I had to go and live with my dad. And my dad's mum, Grandma Maureen, who's passed away, who I had a lot of time for, and she did look
Irish
after me.
Maureen.
Irish Maureen.
I remember you mentioning her before.
And she looked after me. And part of the conditions that I had, she was very, very Catholic.
Was she?
I mean, she drove up to London to go to a Latin mass. That's how Catholic she was.
What, every week?
Every week.
Christ on a bike. Good on her.
She would not have approved of what you
No,
just
she
said.
would not. Sorry, Maureen. Sorry.
And and so she said to my dad, well, he has to be christened Roman Catholic. And so on the day of the christening. This is all true. It's not a joke. It's not leading anywhere. He didn't even know. And the priest done his doodly-doodly-doo and went, James Nicholas, il nombre ne patro cinco tanto Sinclair. Whatever. I don't know what that was.
Wow.
So I
how
actually
old were
got
you?
christened. Well, like, I don't know, 12 weeks old.
Oh, this is early doors.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
fine.
Yeah, not last week.
No, I didn't realise it wasn't last week, but I thought 'cause
Yeah.
your mum got poorly when you were a teenager. I didn't know if they dragged you to the...
I lived backwards and forwards, but my mum had a big fall as the MS took over, and I had to go and live with my dad full time. But but she helped massively, and she was helping even in the early days because the MS was sort of found when she was pregnant with me and kept on collapsing.
Oh, wow.
So she needed lots of help.
So she...
So she didn't tell my dad. My dad found out on the day as the priest was doing it.
Wow.
Because she was so religious, knew the priest, and this was really. She would have the priest round for dinner. And, we would go around there, and there was practically a cardinal and a priest.
The Archbishop's there for tea at Nan's house. Well, anyway, that was an aside I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
To give us the full name one more time.
James Nicholas Maria Mary, Mother of God Sinclair. In
The
Latin.
fact that you've got God in your name somewhere does not surprise me, ultimately. But anyway.
But on the birth certificate now, it's just James Nicholas.
James Nicholas.
Sinclair.
Right, well, there you go. Well, in this folder, we have got a statistic related to the conversation that we've just had. Not his weird name, but the other bit before about Daniel. So here we go. What was it? Oh, you'll know a bit of this. A bit of you. This is Jimbo. What was the average property price in Essex between February 2024 and January 2025?
Oh, that's a good question.
I thought you wouldn't like it. Well, this is a business podcast. I've been talking about commercial residential property. It's rubbish. What was the average property price in Essex between February 2024 and January 2025?
Did you have a guess on this, Chuds, when you was doing it?
I
Did
did,
you get
yeah.
it right?
Because he's buying, isn't he? He's first time buying at the moment. So
Did the office get in and do it all together?
No.
Just Steve. Did Stevie get it right? Oh, right. Yeah. Fine.
So yeah, by default, because she...
No, I thought Ben
researched.
put it together. No, Stevie. Right. Okay, fine. Essex. Now, Essex is a home county, so it would be skewed to the national average because Essex is quite an expensive place to live. You got 325.
I have.
I think it's a little bit more than that.
Really?
Mm.
What about flats and stuff? Not everywhere in Essex is posh, is it? I mean, I know the bits that you and him knock about in. Have you bought a house yet, Chuds?
He's
No.
trying. That's the other thing. Like, even if you got the money, it's an impossible dream.
Really?
They just don't come up.
Really?
That's the main thing, isn't it? Yeah, but there is flats. But there's also, I mean, we've got flats. Do you know Southend, where the Rossi Parlour is?
Yeah.
Just down the road. You want to buy a penthouse there? Penthouse, flat. That's a posh word for flat.
Yeah.
A couple of £1 million.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, that is obviously, and we've got Chigwell, haven't we, in there? When last time I checked, that's quite expensive.
Brentwood.
You put 325. I'm going to go 348. Just a little smidge more than you.
Let's find out. James Sinclair says 348. I said 325. The average price was 393,000. Property prices can vary depending on the property. Detached houses, the average is 586,000. New builds, three on the bounce is horrible. New builds, 484,000. Semi-detached houses, 429,000. Terraced houses, 379,000. And flats are 223,000. IG10 4 is the most expensive postcode in Essex. Is that your postcode?
No,
Posh,
IG10
innit?
would come under like Gants Hill and stuff like
Gants
that.
Hill, okay. IG410 is the most expensive postcode in Essex with an average house price of 918,000 squidaroonies. What are you buying?
Well,
You
it
buying a
just
house? You
annoys
buying a
me
house
that-
or a flat? House. Semi-detached house. So based on this, you're looking at 430 bags, my man. That entire sentence there is why I can never be the posh guy for Daniel in his marketing. 430 bags.
What annoys me about this is why you compare us to France, similar size economy, although we're $500 billion more than them, but we're in
The ballpark.
the ballpark. They don't, the wealth that we have stored in bricks and mortar. And this is coming from a guy that has lots of bricks and mortar, and most of my wealth probably
He's stuck in it.
is stuck in it. But that's mainly commercial property. I think I do all this effort running a business to try and grow the value of my business. I just go and buy some piles of bricks, and every year my wealth just grows.
It's over, yeah.
And yes, that benefits me, but it also annoys me that why doesn't my efforts in business and entrepreneurship get rewarded
yeah.
more
Yeah.
than just having the luxury of putting a deposit down
Yeah.
and sit there and wait?
Property is a little bit like venture capital, isn't it? You could get it wrong 90% of the time and still make money. Just about.
It is a, you know, and I just a lot of money stored up in that. And what happens is just, you know, the people that do well out of it have all this money and get loads of reward, but then they just sit on it and it doesn't recycle back into the economy, especially if they live longer.
Yeah.
And that is the,
because if you're stuck with it, and if there's not now a tax efficient way to get it out without it being, friends of mine recently, they bought a second property. They sold their first, which is an original first house. It's not a posh gaff. You know, the two of them back in the day, 2-bedroom house. I think they ended up with £100,000 profit. But then I think they ended up in their pocket with 48,000 quid because the rest of it was just capital gains tax.
yeah.
It's like, but they've looked after it. Okay, they've had the rent roll from it for all that time as well. But again, if they had spent that money, they would either have paid down more of their own mortgage, so giving them more cash in their pocket to spend, or they would have put it to work, or maybe they'd employ another member of staff. They both run their own companies. But because you don't, and it goes to, again, government inefficiency of spending, where's that 60 grand just frittered away? Just, you know, it's gone in, you know, probably, you know, the lunch bill at Houses of Parliament today. But what difference would 60 grand make to someone who can actually then go deploy it back into the market?
Yeah, recycling cash in the economy is something that governments, that should be what they're focusing on, getting cash flow cycle back in, because that's more people going to coffee shops, that's more people, you know, buying goods and services, rather than having so much of our cash tied
Stashed
up
away
in stuff that doesn't reliquify.
It doesn't really provide any tangible value, does it? Like if your house that's worth £500,000 because of the default cycle of housing is now worth 50, it's made 50 grand. Like it's more than the average wage that your house has probably made for you each year.
I know.
But for no perceived extended value.
Yeah.
And this is another reason why I say James Sinclair for president. Get stuff done.
Well, ladies and gents, this is a non-political broadcast.
It's got very
From the
political
James
recently, hasn't it?
Party.
We should start a Rested Politics competitor podcast. Do you not think?
No, because we definitely don't understand it enough.
No, we do not. You are right.
Thank you very much for listening. If you are watching us on YouTube, do us a favour, please subscribe. Let us know what you think in the comments as well. And if you're watching us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any other podcast platform, please subscribe, review, and do all that good stuff. It really does mean a lot to us.
It does indeed. We'll see you on the next pod.
Bonjour.
Ta-da.
Thanks for watching today, gang. I hope you enjoyed the show. Now, look, we're looking for some great businesses to come on the podcast. If you've got challenges, but you're desperate to grow your business and you can't necessarily work out how to do it on your own, you'll be a perfect candidate to come here on the podcast. It's absolutely free to come on the show. Go to my website, jamessinclair.net, and there's a podcast button. Click on the podcast button, fill in the application form, and we'll do our very best to get you on the show and try and grow your business. If you're loving the podcast, make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking here. And why not give this one a watch? I think you'll like it.